Hello and welcome back to Match Week Breakdown. This is season 1, episode 4, I believe. And this is the one that we have all been waiting for. This is Match Week 1 of the Premier League. It's back and it's live, and I'm so happy that I get to record this episode. I have been watching and I've been paying attention to all of the games this week. And it's been a very good game week, actually, in fairness to some of the previous opening game weeks that we've had, like last season. I feel like last season was a very lackluster first game week, but this game week, I have loved this game week so much. Now I'm gonna go into in game order of the games that happened. So we're gonna start off with Liverpool, and we're gonna end off with last night's game, which was Leeds Everton, which was a very good game in all fairness. So in Liverpool's game, it was 4-2 to Liverpool, so it's a very, very active game. I do have to start off with the bad stuff of the game. I don't have to, but I'm going to. The racial abuse towards Antoine Semenyo is absolutely disgusting. It's horrible, and I don't think that people understand the gravity of what that does to a player mentally. And I'm glad that Antoine Semenyo scored two after this, and I'm glad that the fan got kicked out because it is just horrible. I don't know what goes on through someone's head when they go, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? He's playing well, so I'm gonna racially abuse him and make him feel horrible. But yeah, I'm glad that he reported it, and I'm glad that the fan got kicked out, and I'm glad that he scored two just to prove all of the racist people wrong. Um, but on to the bigger side of things. So that's bit out the way. Don't be racist towards people. If you do, you're stupid, and I hate you forever. Um, so first two goals were scored by Hugo Ekitike, making his Premier League debut. I think he had a really good game. Uh, Scored a goal, had an assist, was very good all round play. But yeah, I think Hugo Ekitike was he's my man of the match, if I'm honest. And then Cody Gakpo with the second one. Uh, Cody Gakpo throughout pre-season has actually improved his finishing a lot. So I think he's going to have a really, really good, impactful season at Liverpool. There were kind of moments in that first half, towards the end of that first half. It was only 1-0 to Liverpool, and Bournemouth were playing some decent football towards the end of it and at the start. So it was a bit nervy for Liverpool fans going into half time. And then they come out, and Cody Gakpo in 4 minutes scores, and they're 2-0 ahead, and Liverpool fans must think this is going to be an absolute stroll now. And then Semenyo in the 64th minute comes back, bosh, 2-1. And then 12 minutes later, scores another one to make the game really interesting with 14 minutes on the clock left. And then Federico Chiesa comes on, and for some reason just hit like one of the best worst volleys I've ever seen in my life. He didn't catch it cleanly. The bobble hit the keeper. It was just the best worst volley I've ever seen in my entire life. With 2 minutes left of normal 90 minutes to go. And it's his first Premier League goal, and it took him a season to score it. But fair enough. I always liked Federico Chiesa. I think he's always been a decent player in my opinion. And then Mohamed Salah. I mean, it was always going to happen. Like, that man just scored. He was scoring for fun last season, and I don't know if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't know if he's going to do it again. I don't know if he's going to score or assist the amount of goals that he did last season. You know, I'm not saying that he's a one season wonder because he's been doing it consistently for 7 years, I think, somewhere around there. Um, but I've got to say, for Liverpool, their attack was very, very good, but their defence wasn't very good. Now, they've obviously brought in Milos Kerkez and Jeremy Frimpong, who both on the attacking side of play are brilliant. They're both really, really good attacking players, and they're gonna score goals this season. Liverpool are like they scored four in one game, so they're gonna score goals this season. But I also think they're gonna concede a lot of goals this season. especially if Kanate has the game. Like that game, Kanate, his positioning and just his play in general, he was making sloppy passes. He wasn't really going for the ball. His positioning wasn't there. If he plays like that in games, he's either gonna get dropped or they're just gonna concede a lot of goals. Now I think Kanate last season was maybe one of the best defenders in the league. But and it is only one game week, and I get that, and I shouldn't really be like saying that I think they're gonna concede a lot of goals because it is one game week. But I just I can't see them getting better defensively with Kirkez and Frimpong didn't really have a good game either. And Wirtz, I've got to talk about Wirtz. I'll talk about the defendant in a, I'll keep talking about the defendant and I'll go on to Florian Wirtz. But I just can't see them getting better defensively. Them getting better attacking, 100%. Like I said, 4 goals in one game is a very, very good start to your season and a big morale booster. Playing at home, I think the next game will be a test. If I'm being completely honest, I think their next game is, let me just see, Newcastle away. St James's Park is honestly not the greatest place to go for a second game week. But I'll get on to Newcastle later because I still have got to talk about their game. But I think Florian Wirtz didn't have a very impactful game. In the Community Shield, kind of everything was flowing through Wirtz. But I have said this a lot of times, maybe not on the channel before, but I don't think Florian Wirtz is going to be as impactful as people think. Now you can all run me off the internet by me saying that, but I think it's true. I just don't think that he's going to be able to deal with the physicality of the Premier League. Obviously, you can evolve and you can grow into the physicality 100%, but I like his flowing football and his pace and his dribbling is all really good, and he's so creative on the ball, and I really liked watching him in the Bundesliga. But the Premier League, I've got to say, is a lot more quick paced and a lot more physical than what the Bundesliga is. But I guess we'll see. He might prove me wrong completely, and I hope he does. I really hope he does. But Liverpool, Bournemouth, 4-2 to Liverpool. But I think Bournemouth are really showing promise in that first game. Now, next is the most boring game of the game week. Villa versus Newcastle. Literally nothing happened in that game apart from Ezri Konsa getting a red card. Now, was it a red card? Yes, 100%. One of the most concrete red cards I think I've ever seen in my life. Just nothing happened. Like, literally, I can go through stats and I can tell you nothing happened. Newcastle had 16 shots and 3 of them were on target, and Villa had 3 and they were all on target. And, like, I just don't see that, like, Newcastle are obviously going to struggle with Isak, and they were really lackluster in that game. Like, there was no attacking threat. Anthony Gordon, he doesn't really do anything up front. And Alanga and Harvey Barnes, and there wasn't anything to that Newcastle team that made me think that they're going to go the distance this season. In terms of getting into Europe, I genuinely can't see how they do. And obviously, Villa are a good side as well. I think they're going to finish high this season. But Newcastle were just dull and they were boring and nothing really happened. So there's not really a lot to report on in that game, but they're going to struggle without Isak. They're going to struggle to create chances and they're going to struggle to score goals. And with Isak not wanting to reintegrate into the team, he's not going to play any football. And this is what's annoyed me about the Isak situation. Is he said to Eddie Howe he doesn't want to reintegrate into the team. If no one knows what reintegrate means, by the way, that means he doesn't want to come back into the team. And he no one's going to pay 150 million for a player who gets moody when he wants to leave the club. So I really just think that it's a stupid, stupid thing for Isak to not be involved and to get all moody bitch about it. Sorry for the language, but to get all moody bitch about it because he's not. like he doesn't want to play. If you stay there another year and you bang in 30 goals and you go, all right, I can probably leave now, Madrid might come in for you. Barcelona, even though they might not register you, Barcelona will probably come in for you. Liverpool will come in for you again, or City might come in for you. Those big teams are gonna come knocking on your door and they will pay 150 million if you have a good attitude and you play out this last season and you go, okay, I want to leave, but I'm gonna play and I'm gonna try my best, and then we'll see what happens from there. Don't just sulk and then get into like a mood about it because you want to leave and oh, Liverpool might come in for me, so I'm not gonna play. Like, just get on with it, do your fucking job, and yeah. Sorry for the language there, but that really annoys me when players do that. Honestly, really annoys me. Right, that game's over. So we have got Brighton Fulham. I didn't watch the game. I'll be completely honest. It wasn't on TV, I don't think. Was it on TV? Let me check quickly. No, it wasn't even on TV, so I couldn't have watched it. Matt O'Reilly, 55 minutes in with a penalty, and then Rodrigo Munoz in the 96th minute levels it up for Fulham. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I think Brighton are going to have a decent season. But I also think Fulham are going to have a decent season. They did both have good seasons last season in terms of where they normally finish, and I think Brighton are going to go far with Fabian Hersler at the helm. Um, but I like, and Fulham as well. They have some decent little players in their team. Smith Rowe's not too bad. Raul Jimenez, even though his age is catching up with him, he's still a good striker. Alex Iwobi had a good season. Calvin Bassey is just a very, very good defender. Leno is getting to the end of it, if I'm being completely honest with you. Harry Wilson's a good player. He showed a lot of class last season with some of his goals and assists. But yeah, I think they're both going to have good seasons. One's a fair result. Yeah, I like both those teams a lot, a lot, a lot. Next game made me very, very happy actually, because I have said since maybe about the middle of the transfer window that I think Sunderland are going to stay up, and no one that I have read have put Sunderland to stay up apart from maybe two people. But yeah, 3-0. Sorry about that. 3-0 to Sunderland against and let's be honest, they are an established Premier League team, West Ham. And it's a statement win for them as well. They're scoring 3 goals, 0-0 at half time, but 3-0. Mayenda scored, Dan Ballard scored, and Wilson Isidore scored as well. Sorry if I butchered those names, but yeah. Anyway, they didn't have a lot of possession, Sunderland. They were playing at home, which was probably a big advantage. They had less shots, but they had more shots on target than West Ham. I just think Sunderland are genuinely gonna be a bit of a threat this season towards the teams higher up than them. And I think Sunderland, like, even though people have said that they don't think they're gonna stay up because of the gap between them and Leeds, a lot of people have said Leeds are gonna stay up. But again, we're gonna talk about Leeds later in the show. But I genuinely think that Sunderland go up or and stay up. Sorry, sorry about that. Jeez, yawning a lot today. But yeah, I think Sunderland are going to stay up. I don't know about the other two teams, but 3-0 Sunderland against West Ham. West Ham didn't look up for it. They had more possession, but that doesn't mean anything. You can keep the ball, but not have scored a goal all game, and it just didn't seem like they wanted it at all. I watched the highlights to the 3 games, obviously the ones that weren't on TV. So it was Tottenham, Sunderland, and Brighton who weren't on TV. And yeah, West Ham, they just didn't seem up for it. They didn't seem like they wanted it. But Sunderland did. And it's an 8-year wait for them to score another Premier League goal, and they did, and I'm so happy that they did. I'm really happy for Sunderland, and I honestly really hope they do have a good season and they stay up because I don't want another season. Oh my word. Wow. I don't want another season where they all go back down again. And I hope Sunderland stay up. And I hope Leeds stay up as well. I'd like Leeds as a team. So Sunderland 3, West Ham nil. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Right, next game is Spurs Burnley, and Richarlison apparently decided to turn into the best player in the world. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Richarlison had a really, really good game. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I always rated Richarlison. I've got a lot of time for him. I genuinely think he's a really good player, but I think Ange ruined him a little bit with how he was playing him. And I think Thomas Frank has raised his confidence, and he knows how to deal with a player with a bit of something about him. Because he's got a really bad temperament. He doesn't like. I remember there was a game, the Northland Derby last season, where he just steamrolled through Gabriel because they were getting on his nerves a bit. But I really think that Richarlison this season is going to pick up, and I think he's going to do well. And I've got to say, oh my word, I'm yawning so much, I don't know why. Anyway, I think Richarlison's both of his goals in that game were just really nice. The first one, he had to take it on the spin and hit it on the volley, which really is not an easy thing to do. And then the second one, there's not much more to say. Like, that overhead kick was caught really, really nicely. Um, and I think Tottenham, annoyingly, are gonna go on and have a good season. I think Thomas Frank is a really good manager. Um, and he's already shown it. He's shown it in pre-season quite a lot that he knows how to deal with this team. Like, if I if Ange was still in charge and they were in that Super Cup final, and I think what I really liked about Thomas Frank and what shows everyone that he is a good manager is he doesn't take anything lightly. Like Yevs Basuma was dropped a few days before that game because he was late to training. If that was Ange, he would have been starting that game, undoubtedly, because Ange loved Basuma. But yeah, I like because he was late to training, and again, like Ange wouldn't have done that. And I really like that about Thomas Frank, and yeah, I think this Tottenham team are gonna, and oh, they're gonna have a good season. Burnley are going to have a bad season, even though they've got Kyle Walker and they've got Armando Broja. I just don't see them having a good season. I really don't like how much I'm yawning today, lads. I'll be completely honest. Um, but yeah, they even started a very strong team, obviously with Jed Spence, Van der Ven, Romero, who is their new captain, which I think he is going to have a very good. He's going to do a good job at being the captain. I really think he is. Son being captain. He's obviously a great player, and he is. There's no doubt in that. Whoever you support, you have to say that Son is a great player. But um he's not a great captain, and he's quite quiet, if I'm being completely honest. And he's not the leader type of player. I had a player who I used to play with when I played football. And I played football for 10 years, so I came across different types of players, and ones who should have been leaders and one who shouldn't have been. And my captain for 3 years wasn't a leader, and he wasn't very loud until like the final season of youth football, and he wasn't very loud. You're joking. You're absolutely joking with how much I'm yawning today. This is a mess. But yeah, I had a player, and he just wasn't very loud, and he wasn't the leader type that a team should have. And there was also a player who I played with for 3, 4 years who was a leader and who did speak a lot, and he knew the task at hand, and that's what you need from a leader, and that's what Romero has got. He's got those leadership qualities, and he knows the task, and he lets the rest of the team know that if they falter, he'll be the first to let them know instead of the manager. And he's on that pitch and he can see everything. And Romero is not a dumb player. He's a very smart player, and he's got a little bit of something about him. Do you know what I mean? Like that little bit of something, and he's very passionate, and he can put in a challenge. And I just think that Romero is the perfect captain to take Spurs forward and get them to succeed. Because obviously, the Super Cup game against PSG, they were in charge for a lot of that game until maybe the 75th, the 80th minute, where they didn't have a lot of the ball and they were getting a little bit scrappy, and then they conceded two and lost on penalties. But I think to hang with PSG and to not concede for 75 minutes against undoubtedly the best team in the world, I really think that that is a statement, and they're showing promise, and they're showing their intent, and they're saying to every other team, "We're gonna be, we're gonna be one of the ones to beat this season, and if you want to beat us, we're gonna make it difficult for you." And yeah, I genuinely think they're gonna be a good team. I don't think Burnley. I had no hope, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I had no hope that they were gonna have a good season. Obviously. Oh my god, are you joking me? Mhm. Right. What was I saying? Yeah, Burnley. I just don't think they're gonna be a good team. Um, they haven't really shown anything in pre-season. They didn't really show anything in this game. Dubravka made a couple decent saves, but other than that, I just don't see how they do well, and that's sad. Considering that I do want the teams that have come up this season to stay up this season, I just don't think that Burnley are going to be the ones. But yeah, I suppose we'll see because I might be wrong. I might be wrong, and you might all think that I'm stupid. But anyway, um, yeah, 3-0 Tottenham. I think they've showed that early promise and that early intent that they want to go the distance this season. And who knows? Maybe they will. I hope they don't, but maybe they will. Next game is Wolves versus Man City, and Wolves absolutely fell like they would. You know when you leave that Coca-Cola in the fridge a bit too long and it just goes completely flat and it's just not enjoyable to drink anymore? That's what it was like watching Wolves. Flat, not enjoyable to watch. Like Georgians, like, and that Coca-Cola, it has got the taste of Coke, but it's just not got the fizz. And Georgian Strand Larsen was the taste of that team. That sounds really weird out of context, doesn't it? That's really weird. Don't take that out of context. Georgian Strand Larsen is the taste of the team. Oh God. Um. Anyway, yes. Um. Georgian Strand Larsen was the flavoring. That sounds a bit weirder. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Georgian Strand Larsen was one of the good players on the pitch, and I'm saying one of because there's maybe one for Wolves, and he was the one. Um, but I think Man City, their new signings are gonna cause havoc. Tijani Reinders, a goal and an assist, and I've got to say, what a ball over the top for Rico Lewis for that first goal, by the way. That was just lovely. He takes every defender out of that situation, and Rico Lewis literally all he has to do is just pass it to Haaland, and 1-0 to Man City. And then he scores, and what a finish that is, by the way. Oscar Bob, also, I've missed him because I really enjoyed Oscar Bob last season. Or was it the season before? No, no, it was last season. Only last season. Then he got the injury, and then it all fell to pieces. That's the reason why Man City didn't do well last season because Oscar Bob wasn't there. It's not because of Rodri at all. Oscar Bob did it all. But yeah, I think Oscar Bob is genuinely a very, very good player, and he played that ball through to Reinders, and hitting it first time, it was so nice. It was so nicely hit. That is a striker's finish. Instead of being a striker, he's a midfielder, and it went so well. And that is kind of how Man City carried on through the game, 4-0, and it's a trampling of Wolves, and I do genuinely think that Wolves are in danger of being relegated this season. I like Vitor Pereira, and I was about to say Pereira's then, but that's not his name. It's Vitor Pereira. That was a really weird accent that I just put on. Oh god, I don't like that. Anyway, um, yeah, Vitor Pereira, I genuinely think is a really good manager, and I, I only really from that team, I only really like Strand Larsen. He's a really good player in my opinion. And if they get relegated, he'll be one of the first ones to go, and Andre will go, and João Gomez, and Munetzi, and Bellegarde will all go, and maybe Matt Doherty, but he might not. Um, but yeah, just 4-0 to Man City. Their new signings are going to light up this league. I also forgot to mention the other two goals. How silly. Erling Haaland got another one because it's Erling Haaland, and then Ryan Cherky, who I'm really excited to watch again this season. I really enjoy Ryan Cherky. He got the most assists in League One this season for not this season, last season for Leon, I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I believe it was Leon. But yeah, his goal was really nicely taken. It's literally just a cut inside the box and then just puts that bottom corner, and it was a lovely finish. But yeah, I think Man City might go the distance. There are a few teams that might. Obviously, I mentioned Spurs. I think Man City could. I hope that they don't again, like Spurs. I really hope they don't go the distance. And I think Liverpool might as well. But I've said who I think's going to win the league. Ooh, well, again, he's not helping. But yes. Uh, yeah. If you haven't seen who I think is going to get relegated and who I think is going to win and who I think the top four is going to be and all of that stuff, go watch my last video. It's all up on there. It's all my Premier League predictions for the season. Next game is Nottingham Forest versus Brentford, and even though Nottingham Forest have lost Anthony Elanga, who was maybe their player of the season under Chris Wood. He's there, yeah, number two. Yeah, definitely number two. They have proved that they can still damage teams even though they don't have Anthony Elanga. And I think that's really important for Forest to do this season. I think they need to prove that they are still a dangerous team. And with Chris Wood and his movement, I've got to say, Chris Wood's movement is just so silky sometimes. He's a big guy, but he still moves really well inside the box and outside the box. For their, for his second goal, like it was just such nice movement to curve his run and then just to go around the keeper and put it in the back of the net. It was just wonderful to watch. And I think they're going to be a really good team, Forest. And will they get Europe? I'm not sure, but I hope they do because I like watching Forest as a team. And I just hope they don't be Arsenal. Um, but yeah, I think they've done well and they are going to do well for the rest of the season. Brentford, I'm not sure that Brentford are going to do well. Obviously, they've got Kelleher, who I think is a good signing. Obviously, he lets three in, but that's not the point. I think he's a really good signing, and I hope he does well, honestly, because I've always liked him as a player. But yeah, Brentford just don't seem on it. And again, it's the first game, so I can't really say a lot. But Keith Andrews, nah, I'm good, Keith. I don't want your playing style because you're a set piece coach, mate. You're not the main manager there. I just don't see Keith Andrews doing well at Brentford. And like he's not good with the media, but he's never had to deal with the media, and that'll grow obviously when he grows into the job a little bit. And the media stuff will hopefully go well. But I just don't see Keith Andrews doing well at all. But there we go. I I don't know, man. Brentford had a good season last season, but I don't think they're going to do well this season. With Keith Andrews at the helm, I'm not too sure. But I know one thing for sure. And the one thing that I know for sure is that Nottingham Forest, without Anthony Elanga, they're going to do well. They have to do well. And I think they will. and I'm very happy. Right, this game, this is going to be, right, I'm just going to get into it. Chelsea and Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge has probably one of the worst, and you can roast me in the comments if you want, because my opinion is not going to change on this matter. I genuinely think it's one of the worst VAR decisions I've ever seen in my life. And there's been some bad ones that I've seen. Like William Saliba's red card last season against Bournemouth. That's not a red card. That's a yellow card at best. But that's not about this VAR decision. It's about the Eze free kick decision. Now you can say whatever you want, but Mark Gahey is there for that exact reason. Now, if you didn't see it, I'll explain the situation for you. So Crystal Palace have won a free kick just on the area of the penalty box. So they're probably just on the edge of the D, maybe a bit further in. I can't remember the exact spot, but I believe it's just on the edge of the D. So it's a good position. And everyone's expecting Eze to take it, and Eze does take it. But Mark Gahey is also standing over the ball. And I'm not really sure why, but they're just they're talking about tactics that they can do, and every team does this, and it's annoyed me so much, and I still hold a grudge on it. But like, Mark Gahey is there, and there's a big wall. Okay, there's a wall of maybe 4 Chelsea players, and Robert Sanchez probably should have set his wall up better, but he's kind of done everything he can. But oh my word, Gahey is I think he's not man marking, but he's kind of pressing against Cucurella, trying to put him off balance a bit. And Eze strikes it, and as Eze's taking his run up, is pushing Cucurella to the side to create that gap for Eze to strike it. And it goes in. And I'm like, I knew Eze was going to score that. And then the celebrations from the Palace fans are only cut very short. Because on VAR, they are checking that for a possible offside. Now I'm watching this game and I'm going, well, it's not offside because it didn't take a deflection off of anyone. No Palace players were offside. And then I'm thinking, offside doesn't just have to be one of your players is offside. It can be obstructing the goalkeeper's view. But no one was obstructing the goalkeeper's view at all. And if I'm being honest, Robert Sanchez maybe could have done better in the situation that he was put in. But I'm gonna be real. Every single team that you watch in the Premier League does this so much, so many times a season, and never, ever has it been pulled up by anyone. Arsenal or other teams do it on corners quite a lot, where they push them. And, like, I'm not being funny, but no one's ever pulled it up for that. And they pull it up for this. Like, when has this rule ever been in place? It's never been used ever. And then they just use it here just to cause a stir up in this game. Like it's just stupid. And I haven't seen because Mike Dean on Match of the Day normally explains decisions. I haven't watched Match of the Day, so I can't say why it was actually given. But I can't I don't know. Every team does it and no one's been pulled up, and then all of a sudden Palace do it and they're pulled up for literally no reason. But there is a good thing about VAR. Uh, even though I've finished my little rant by the way, so you can all calm down and turn your headphones back up because I was a bit shouty there. Um, but the good thing about VAR or the goalkeeper, not the goalkeeper. Why are the goalkeepers using VAR? I hope they're not. The referees using VAR is that they actually announce why it wasn't given. And that's the first VAR announcement of the season. And I'm very happy because of that. Um, it's a little bit like rugby, apart from rugby actually like speak through the process. But football they don't. I'm gonna for God's sake. I'm actually gonna like shoot away this yawn in a minute. If you hear a gunshot, that is me shooting the tiredness out of myself. Um, out of did I say out of thyself? I'm in the Bible now, jeez. Um, but yeah, it's such a ridiculous VAR decision, and the game finished 0-0, and Chelsea were lackluster, if I'm being completely honest. There was a lot of backward passes and a lot of the U shape being used. But yeah, that's the main talking point from that game is the VAR decision and how ridiculous it actually is. Um, but yeah, I honestly thought coming into that game that Crystal Palace were going to get trampled. And even though the confidence is high, obviously, after their FA Cup win last season and the Community Shield victory over Liverpool, the confidence is higher than ever in that camp. And, like, but Chelsea, being champions of the world, were fine. They were okay. Like, there's teams that you watch and you go, yeah, you're okay. You're not good. You're not, like, terrible. You're just okay. Like, mid. You're just a bit mid. And that's what Chelsea were. And will they pick up form? Maybe, probably. Um, but this game, they didn't have any sort of form. They just kind of went, yeah, we'll play however we want, but we won't get anywhere, and we'll just go backwards all the time. Um, but yes, 0-0. Chelsea Crystal Palace at Stamford Bridge. Um, I did go on a little bit of a rant there. But next game, hmm, okay. Next game is one that had me very happy at home, but also one of the most nervous games that I've ever watched in my entire life. Man United against Arsenal, Old Trafford. I was very excited coming into this game, and I have said to everyone that I know, guys, Arsenal are going to win 4-1. Arsenal didn't win 4-1. Arsenal did win 1-0 from a corner. From a corner. Now I thought, okay, well, the first 5 minutes, Brian and Bremo was unreal. His movement was so good. I didn't see a lot of Cunha in the first like 5-10 minutes, but he grew into the game. He definitely did, and he was a very good player by the end of it. Um, but we scored the header, and we still hadn't really grown into the game, and that kind of we only really grew into the game about half an hour in. And by that point, United have had about 10 million shots and none of them have gone in. And I feel like for United, it was just one of those days where nothing worked and nothing went in, which is a horrible day for a team. But I think Arsenal were very scrappy as well. We didn't really seem to have it in us. Gabriel and Saliba, for the first time ever, or maybe not ever, but they seemed uncomfortable in who they were marking because they were marking Cunha, and Cunha isn't big and strong like some of the strikers, but he's manipulative of the ball. It's like he gets the ball, and he isn't gonna lose it unless he passes it, or he gets absolutely he gets absolutely crunched. And I really enjoyed Cunha. Oh, I enjoyed watching Cunha. Weirdly, even though it was against my team, there are just players that you watch and you go, "How are you that good at football?" And Mbeumo was another one of them. And actually, surprisingly, because I wasn't expecting this player to pop up and be like incredible this game, Patrick Dorgu was really good this game. And United signings that they made, what they were good. They just need an actual goalkeeper because Biendi's mistake for our goal was really not good. Like you've got to be commanding your penalty area there. I don't care how new you are as a goalkeeper. As a goalkeeper, you shout at your defenders if they need shouting at. And that's what he doesn't do, and he just kind of put his hand in the air like the Alan Shearer celebration and just hoped that something happened. And something did happen from it, but not for his team, for Arsenal. And I was cheering. I'm going to be completely honest, I was cheering. And you never really. see how bad a mistake is until you see it again, if you know what I mean. So, like, United fans won't probably wouldn't have been focusing on like the mistake that Biende made. Sorry, there we go. That's better for the mic. Um, they probably wouldn't have been focusing on the mistake because they've just conceded. So, you know. But then Roy Keane starts going on about it at half time and at full time. And when Roy Keane goes on at something, he doesn't hold back, I'll tell you that much. And yeah, Roy Keane, it was just he just kind of killed Bayindir. But he needed to be killed because United need a new goalkeeper. And yeah, United need a new keeper. Arsenal got the win. And for I've got to say, for morale boosting, a win at Old Trafford, first game of the season, is a very, very big morale booster. And I think to be champions, and don't kill me in the comments for this, to be champions, you have to be able to do that in games. You have to be able to not play well and still come out and win and not be on top of the game. Because United, they were the better team. And I have no shame in saying that United were the better team because it's true. And every Arsenal fan will say it. I don't think Arsenal played the worst that I've ever seen them play, but they weren't good to watch. And I don't think I've seen a lot of people saying that Gyökeres is a bad signing. No, he's not. Gyökeres is not a bad signing. He was really strong in possession. He could hold it play, and he could send it on to his teammates. And people saying that Gyökeres is a bad signing is really annoying me because he's not. You just have to see the better side of it. People come in and go, "You're a striker. You instantly have to score goals. I do not care about anything else. You have to score goals." But his hold-up play is so important and will be so important going on during the season. And I'm so happy that we got to see him in the Premier League. And it is very quick. The Premier League is very, very quick paced. But I just hope that he gets. And by the way, once he starts scoring, he is not going to stop scoring. And he's going to go on a roll. And people have to remember that Haaland didn't have a very good preseason. Gyökeres didn't have the best preseason ever. Um, But Haaland is like incredible. He is literally incredible. As a poacher, as a striker, like playing as a poacher goes, he's possibly possibly the best right now because he's always around that area, and Gyökeres isn't always around that area. And the way that he plays is if you send a ball over the top to him, he's going to chase it, he's going to go in the box, and he's going to put it past the goalkeeper without a shadow of a doubt. And maybe that's how we should be using him. Because Martin Odegaard is going to really like pump his chest out and he's gonna play and you could see it yesterday that he was creative with what he was doing and people didn't appreciate it. People looked at Martin Odegaard and went, "Oh, Martin Odegaard, God, he's such a bad player and he's such a bad captain." But he wasn't. He's a good player, but like we haven't had a striker for last season or the season before or the season before. But I'm very excited that we won. I'm very happy that we won. And that is a big morale booster going in for the rest of the season. And I honestly think that we can go the distance and win the Premier League. And if we don't, this is also another talking point, by the way. If we don't, and you can tell me all of your opinions on what I'm saying. But if Arteta doesn't win anything next season or this season, sorry, in like any trophies, he's got to go. But there is also another side to that. That is, if he goes and we do sack him because he hasn't won anything, who do you bring in to fill in that gap? Because it's a difficult one to answer in reality, isn't it? Like, you take Arteta out, who do you bring in to fill in that hole that they've created? Because it's a weird one. Because obviously the team has improved so much, but I don't want to trust the process for another 5 years. So yeah, I think if he doesn't win anything this season, he's got to go. But then who do we bring in? I'm not sure. I'll leave that for the board to decide. And then all of a sudden we're at the last game. Last game already, man. Match week 1. Last game of match week 1 was yesterday actually. It was Leeds versus Everton, and a 1-0 win for Leeds. And obviously a Jackie Grealish debut. I believe he did come on. Let me just check very quickly. He did come on. For about 20 minutes, which is a decent run out for a player. But yeah, I think I haven't watched the highlights. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch the game and I didn't watch the highlights. I've seen people saying mixed opinions about the penalty, about how it was given away. I don't know if it was a clear and obvious penalty. But I know that I'm very happy that Leeds actually got it over the line and got it done. Lucas Nemecha, or Nemeka, I'm not really sure how you say that name, but I know his first name's Lucas and I can pronounce that perfectly fine. But yeah, I think he was it was probably a very calm and collected penalty from the German international. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, lads. I ain't got a lot to say about the game because I don't really know what happened. I've read stuff that Leeds were in control for a lot of the game. I've got some stats, so I'm gonna read out the stats and I'm gonna build my opinion based on said stats. 54% possession, which tells us that they had a lot of the ball. A lot more than, well, maybe not a lot more, it was only 54% possession. But they had more of the ball than Everton, so they could create more chances with the ball. 2.13 XG, but actually doesn't mean anything. 21 shots. So you got 21 shots, but only 3 of them have been on target. So 1 in every 7 shots were on target, which is a bit depressing. So I'm going to be honest, you might need to fix that, Leeds, if you're going to pump on for the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm very happy that Leeds won again because I want all the teams that have come up this season to stay up. And we'll see, man. But I want to stretch this episode out a bit longer, if I'm going to be completely honest. So I'm going to talk a bit about my FPL team. So, getting into it, I got 42 points. And Aitnari and Kukurea saved me because they got 9. Aitnari got 9 and Kukurea got 8, which is let me do the math, 17 of my 42 points. And it is quite depressing saying that, considering they are both defenders. But I also had Habib Diarra, I had Rice who got me 6, McAllister got me 5. I captained João Pedro, which was one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I could have put Henderson in for Callaghan, as Henderson got 6, but Callaghan only got me 1, and I could have put Cherky in for Gyökeres, or I couldn't have really put him in for Kirkez, because then I would have only had 2 defenders. But I could have put Cherky in for Gyökeres, because Cherky got 6 and Gyökeres only got me 1. But yeah, it was not a great game week. We currently have a family league. And I believe I'm 6th in that. Yeah, I'm 6th. Yeah. But I hope it gets better as we go on, if I'm completely honest. So-y woey. Yeah. And then we're also going to do our match week, not our match week 2 predictions, because there's no one else. But I'm going to do my match week 2 predictions with you all right here, right now. I'm going to do scores. So, obviously, first game is West Ham versus Chelsea on the. You can mark these in your calendars if you want, lads. I'm going to be honest with you. Um, Friday the 22nd of August is West Ham versus Chelsea. I'm going to say a 3-0 win for Chelsea in this game. I just think that they're going to dominate, and West Ham aren't going to do well, and they might have a Sunderland redo of their game at Sunderland, if I'm honest. Man City Spurs is a weird one to call because they both did very well. And Man City look like they're really going to kick on and become the Man City of old. But Spurs always do well against Man City, so I'm going to say a 2-1 win for Tottenham Hotspur. Um, Bournemouth Wolves isn't a very entertaining game, but I'm going to say, oh, that's a tough one to call, to be fair. I'm going to say a Bournemouth win against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I'm gonna say, did I say the score for Tottenham? 2-1 for Tottenham, by the way. Unless I already said a score. But yeah, 2-1 Tottenham is my final score. Um, Bournemouth Wolves, I'm gonna say a 2-0 win for Bournemouth. They played very well against Liverpool, and Wolves absolutely failed and fell flat on their face against Man City. So yeah, Bournemouth 2-0 against Wolves. Brentford Villa. Villa, I genuinely think are going to win 4-0 because Keith Andrews, I don't think is going to do well as a manager, and Villa, I think, are going to honestly do very well this season. Burnley Sunderland. Sunderland win. I don't care what anyone else says. I think Sunderland are going to stay up and they're going to win 3-1 against Burnley. Yes. Another win. And I don't know if it'll be a statement win, but it will definitely be a good win. Next up, we have got Arsenal versus Leeds, and this is our first Premier League game at the Emirates. Yay! I'm gonna say a 3-0 win for Arsenal. I think we're gonna do well. Actually, no. 6-0. 6-0 Arsenal. I don't care what anyone else says. 6-0. You can call me deluded because a lot of people have called me deluded. But yeah, 6-0 Arsenal. Gyökeres hat-trick. And then Odegaard's going to get in on the action, and Madueke is going to come off the bench and get into the action, and Saka is also going to get in on the action. They're all going to be on the score sheet. Bosh. 6-0 Arsenal. Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest could be an interesting game. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. Um, I think that the competence is high in both camps, and I think it's going to be a very good game to watch. Yeah, 2-2 draw, Super Sunday, very good Super Sunday match as well. Yeah, Crystal Palace Nottingham Forest 2-2. Everton Brighton, I think it's going to be a very boring 0-0 draw, if I'm completely honest with you. Yeah, that seems about a boring 0-0 draw will probably be about right. Fulham Man United, I think Man United are honestly going to sweep the floor with Fulham. So I'm going to say 4-1. Yeah, I think Fulham are going to get a consolation goal right at the end. And then Newcastle Liverpool. Wow, that was Jesus. That wasn't Jesus, but that was me yawning, by the way. That I think Liverpool, considering Newcastle's performance, I'm gonna say 3-1 Liverpool. Gakpo 2. And then Ekitike might get another one. But yeah, so there we go. Match week 2 predictions. Had a little bit of FPL talk, not a lot though. And then, yeah, all my match week 1 talkabouts. So, there we go. Match week 1 is done. And I hope you all enjoyed it. And I hope you all, had a good match week 1. And I also hope you had a good FPL match week 1. And I also hope that you had a good week in general, because that is also very important. For the soul and for the mind and for the body. That was. I'm never going to say that ever again. But yeah, I wish you all have a very good next of the week. Next of the week. I was a. I need to start speaking, is what I hope can happen. I hope next week I can actually speak proper English. I hope you all have a very good next week, and all have a very good next game week, which I will be reporting again, just so you know. Everyone do well in FPL. Everyone do well in life in general, and I'll catch you on the next podcast. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it, even if I don't show it a lot. But yeah, thank you all for listening. I'll see you next time.